Hello, thank you for joining us for another virtual dose of vitamin Z, where we bring the Detroit Zoo to you. My name is Zahraa. I'm an education specialist at the Detroit Zoological Society, where we celebrate and save wildlife every day. Today, I want to talk to you about an animal that's not afraid to stand out. In fact, that's exactly how that animal protects itself. I'm talking about the Mantellas, who come from Madagascar. Before we get started, let's take a look at some vocabulary words. So I'm going to be mentioning words like froglet, tadpole, froglet, and metamorphosis. All right, so I mentioned that these animals live in Madagascar, which if you watched on Wednesday, you know that's where lemurs are from. So we're gonna start off right here in Michigan, fly east across the Atlantic Ocean, past the mainland of Africa and to an island right off the coast of Africa called Madagascar. And this is where all 16 species of Mantellas are found. Now, we're going to take a look at what a Mantella is. So this is one of the species of Mantellas, and this is the golden Mantella. So Mantellas are not very big. They're only about a quarter size, so they're about the size of a quarter. They are animals that are awake during the day and asleep during the night. They're diurnal just like us. And they don't always look like this. When they first start off, they look, let's go this way. They look kind of like this. They are just an egg encased in a gel to keep them moist. The female will lay this Mantella egg inside a leaf that's damp so that it can stay wet. And as they hatch, they are first tadpoles. So all frogs start off as tadpoles, and they have a tail, they have some gills that are external that they breathe through, and they're living in the water at this point. As they grow, they start to change or have a metamorphosis and start to have a major change that changes them from a tadpole to a froglet first, with some features of a tadpole and some features of a frog, and then eventually to the frog. And once they're the frogs, they've gotten rid of their external gills and have internal gills and lungs that they breathe through, and they've gotten rid of the tails and have gained arms and legs. And they're frogs now, and they've gone through that metamorphosis, that big change. All right, so I want you guys in the comments to let me know of another animal that you can think of that goes through a metamorphosis or a big change and changes from looking like one animal to another. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit more about the Mantella. So I mentioned earlier that Mantellas are awake during the day and asleep in the night. All right, so because of their bright color, it's very easy for predators to see them. So this could put them at a disadvantage, except their color actually helps protect them from predators. Predators are able to see their color and know that these Mantellas are not going to taste very good. They have a toxin or a poison inside their body that makes them either taste not very good to predators or makes the predators feel bad when they eat them, so they know to stay away. That bright color is kind of like a warning, stay away. So the Mantellas use that color to protect themselves. Now, humans can have a negative impact on Mantellas because when we go into spaces, we tend to develop the land, build houses or stores, and take down all the plants and vegetation in the area, or most of it. When that happens, the food sources that the Mantellas eat, like the ants, the termites, the fruit flies, there aren't as many anymore. There's less variety in what they can find. This is really important because that's where they get their toxins from. They get it from the foods they eat. So if they're eating less things, then they're becoming less toxic, and now they're awake during the day where any predator can see them, and they don't taste bad anymore. So they are now at risk of being easily found and eaten by predators. And that's not what they want to happen. Now, and that is what's been happening, unfortunately, and the Mantella population in Madagascar is endangered because of human action and pet trade of people wanting animals as pets. All right, so I'm going to go back and look at one of the Mantellas at the Detroit Zoo. This is a golden Mantella, and it's found at the Detroit Zoo, and it's critically endangered. So that means there's very few of it left in the wild. The National Amphibian Conservation Center helps take care of this Mantella and a lot of other species of critically endangered amphibians. In fact, it's a state-of-the-art facility that's the first of its kind that takes care of so many animals and works on so many conservation and research work behind the scenes, while also providing habitats, naturalistic habitats for visitors to see frogs and other amphibians in. The animal care staff at the Detroit Zoo take care of over 1,000 amphibian species every day. They're also working on conservation work and research work both at the facility and all around the world. Becky, our Associate Curator of Amphibians at the Detroit Zoological Society, recently shared some pictures and videos of the 6 species of amphibians who live at the Detroit Zoo. I'm going to show you some of those species and we'll get to know them a little more. All right, so this right here is that golden Mantella that I mentioned earlier. It has that beautiful orange color. This one is critically endangered in the wild, and it's really, a lot of people do want it as pets. That's one of the major reasons why it has become so endangered in the wild. So that's that one. And I also have a video of some of these Mantellas, and you can see their lungs working as they croak. I'm going to be quiet so you can hear a little of them croaking. And I just love watching. This is one of my favorite habitats at the zoo because there's always so much to see, and I can spend some time looking at all the frogs and trying to identify the different species. Let's go on to the splendid Mantella. So this splendid Mantella has some beautiful green right on their arms and legs, and some orange right at the bottom feet, back of their feet, and then they also have some blue right over here. And then on its belly, it also has some blue markers. So each species of Mantellas has its own coloring, and then each individual looks slightly different than the other. So these markings are unique to this individual, and another Mantella a splendid Mantella would look similar but not exactly the same. Splendid Mantellas not only have beautiful colors, but their colors also have like this shiny quality to them. They're almost iridescent when you look at them. They're also known as the beautiful Mantella, so that might be why. Over here, I have a Bernhard's Mantella, and this one's less colorful. He or she has some bronzish legs, but the rest of the body is mostly black. This is an arboreal Mantella, and some cool things to notice about this one is the really bright green right up here. The rest of it is all black except for the fingers or toes right over here. And you can see in this picture very clearly that their toes are not webbed. So Mantellas don't have webbed toes like many other frog species do, because they spend a lot of time on land. And the arboreal Mantella uses its not webbed toes to really grip onto trees, because that's where it spends most of its time. That's where it gets its name, because it spends times in trees. Oh, I also have some audio. This right here is a green Mantella, and despite its name, I feel like the color is more of a yellowish green than a true green like we saw with the arboreal Mantella. And this is a newly metamorphosized green Mantella, and you can see that it starts off as bronze. The bronze stays on the legs, and then it starts to develop that yellow-green color right on top. And then over here I have a video, and you guys get to play my favorite game of try to find the Mantellas and try to identify the Mantellas. So I have a quick video with a few different Mantellas that you can look for, and I'll try to point them out. So it starts off with a green Mantella, or arboreal Mantella right on top. We have another one right over here. Next to it is a green Mantella. And then we're gonna start to see some golden Mantellas. All right. Now, one species you did not see is the Betsilio Mantella. And if you look back on this picture, there is a big plant right in the middle. And this species of Mantellas, they like to hang out behind that. So they're very hard to spot. So it's always a good time when you're at the zoo and you can spot one of those Betsilio Mantellas. All right, so now that we've taken a look at some of the Mantellas and you got to see so many beautiful colors, I want to show you an activity where you can use some colors and make your own frogs. All right, you'll need a few supplies, including some nail polish in different colors. You'll also need some water, a recycled container, and this is really important that you use something that you're willing to not eat in again, because you will get some nail polish on it. You'll also need like a safety pin or a straight pen, and if you don't have that, you can use like a sharp pencil. You'll also need some cardstock and a pair of scissors. So let's just do straight right here. All right, so you're gonna start off by filling your cup or your container with water, and then take your nail polish brush and very carefully drop the drops of paint onto the top. Make sure that it stays on the top. If it sinks, it's no big deal. You can just leave it there. But just know that you're probably going to have to add that drop again, and be more careful so it stays on top. Then very carefully take your pen or your pin and swirl it and create that marble design. And then take your paper, put it in there, and pull it out as quickly as you can. Then use your pin to collect all the remaining nail polish off of there, so you can clear it off and try it again. So what I did is I came up with a few species of Mantellas to play my game. So I have these two different species right over here that I made. This one right here and this one right here. And I made them very similar, so it's more of a challenge. I gave one of them blue, and I'm going to call this my blue Mantella. And I gave this one some teal coloring, so it can be my teal Mantella. And I went ahead and I made two of each one. And I'm going to shuffle them up and flip them over, and then I'm going to play a matching game where I have to use my observation skills to look very, very closely and see if I can match up the Mantellas to each other. Now, you can obviously play around with this. You can make it a lot harder like I did, or you can make it easier and work on color recognition. Another thing you can do with these is, I know Mother's Day is coming up, and if you've already got your gift, these make excellent gift tags for your mother, and they're one-of-a-kind marble paints that you can use to tag your gift. Now let's take a look at some of the skills that we will work on when doing this activity. Things like observation, color recognition, and you get to test your memory. So the more species you make, I only made two, but the more species you make, the harder it'll be. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this activity and learned a little bit more about one of my favorite animals at the zoo, the Mantellas. Until then, I hope you have a great weekend, have a happy Mother's Day, and check back on Monday to spend some more time and learn some more with some more vitamin Z with Steven at 11. Thank you.